All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
And for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and this lady here to my right, to your left is...
Tanya Coleman, his wife.
Yeah, you got your glitter going there today, I see. Got glitter. You did that on purpose, or it's just leftover?
No, I
glitter?
did
Okay.
put a little makeup on this morning, just
Okay,
a little
I'm
bit.
Just saying, all right. So how's everything going in your world?
Everything is good. It's busy.
Well, yeah, it's
It
busy.
is. Yeah.
Busy. About that time of the year, it's amazing that, 2019 is almost gone. And
I know.
we're going into 2020.
Yes.
And so I guess today what we want to talk about is, I'm calling it the in-between.
The
I think-
in-between.
I think you had another name for it. What was your name? Your name was the middle.
In the middle.
In the middle.
In the middle of it.
So that's kind of, I guess it means the same thing, the
Yeah.
in-between. And, or you could call it the meantime. And I guess what we
Yeah.
want to talk about.
Meantime, in between time.
There you go. But, in life, we tend to concentrate on the peaks and the valleys.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and in marriage, we tend to concentrate on the great times and then the really bad times.
The highs and lows.
But there's this time in the middle, and I want to call it maybe the process.
Yes.
The process in the middle. I call it the peaks. We know everybody's peaks.
Right.
Because
right.
that's what.
Those are the ones we post.
Yeah, that's the ones that
Yeah.
not like we post the peaks. We hide the valleys.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we ignore or we forget about the process.
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't sometimes appreciate the process. We don't appreciate, or like you said, ignore. We don't acknowledge the process,
Yeah.
the in-between.
And I think that probably the most important time in life is the process. It's
Absolutely.
the in between the valley
Yeah,
and the peak.
yeah,
Because it's in the process where growth happens.
yes,
And to me, more than anything, more than reaching the peak, I want growth to happen.
Absolutely.
In my life.
absolutely.
And so, we're talking about this because I think that we're kind of in one of those in between times.
Yeah.
Right now, we're in this transition period in our lives, and it's kind of like one of those places where you're waiting to hear.
Yes,
So I guess my question to you is, I feel like I'm the host today. So my question to you is, what do you do in that? What do you do in the process? What do you do in between the word that God spoke and the promise?
right, the
What do
manifestation.
you do, or how do you handle, or even in those times where you may feel like, well, I'm just really not hearing from God. I believe I'm not hearing right, or I don't know what next step to take.
Right.
I just feel like I'm in this season of,
Waiting.
Waiting. Thank you. So what do you do? What do you do in those seasons?
For me, I think it's important, individually and together, that we are really seeking God. We're putting ourselves in remembrance of the promise, that was made, the word that was spoken, the word that was confirmed. We're staying focused on that. And what I've noticed that in the middle of doing that and staying focused on that, sometimes challenges come while you're in the waiting season. You may have a mountain to climb. You may have a storm that comes your way, but you have to stay focused on the promise. Stay focused on the word that God gave, because that word will surely come to pass. And everything else is going to have to move. And so for me, right now, I'm staying focused on the promise. Even when things become very challenging and very hard, I still stay focused on the promise,
Okay.
And
I was talking to an acquaintance, friend, classmate of mine yesterday, and we were just talking about this whole thing about process, and she said something that really stuck with me. Because I was telling her that I know where God wants to take us as
Sure.
as a couple,
Sure.
as a family, and I can see it. I visualize it. I have my vision board, and I know I got the plan, I got the strategy. But I was telling her, I said, man, the thing that's missing right now is just the provision, is the money
Right.
to do what I know to do. And, I was telling her sometimes I get a little frustrated, when I'm ready to move and I'm ready to do, and I don't have, the financing. And she said something that really stuck with me. She said, your focus should not be on the provision. She said, your focus should be on preparation and purpose.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Preparation
Yeah.
and purpose.
Yeah.
And I said, man, that's so good for me. So now I'm using that as my, it's the thing that will bring me back. Because if I'm constantly worrying about the thing that I don't have,
Right.
again, what I'm doing is I'm missing out
Right.
on the process. This I guess this can apply to your marriage. It can apply to your life in general.
Sure.
But there's I want to send one of my favorite movies, but I got to bring everything back to a movie. But it's the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
The original, not the new Karate Kid
Right.
with Jaden Smith.
Right.
Love you, Jaden, but I'm
Yeah.
not
Daniel's
using
son.
it. Daniel's son,
Yes.
yeah. What was his name? Ralph
Ralph Macchiato.
something like that.
I think it was Ralph Macchiato.
Yeah,
Something.
It was Ralph something. But didn't you have a crush on him? Didn't you tell me that? You had a crush on that? No, it wasn't him?
Everybody loved Karate Kid. Of course I did.
Oh, okay. Anyway, but I love it because, Daniel goes to Mr. Miyagi because these guys are beating him up. He's like, you got to teach me karate. So Mr. Miyagi is like, okay, I'll do that. I will teach you karate. So Mr. Miyagi is like, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to paint this fence. But I don't want you to just paint the fence. I want you to paint it like this. I want you to go up, down, up, down. And he's like, okay. So he paints, this long, takes him all day long.
Right.
Comes back the next day. Okay, you paint the fence. Now I want you to wash these cars.
Right.
He's like, don't just wash the cars.
Right.
Just wax on, wax off.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, no.
Right.
Wax on,
Do the process.
wax off. So he's like, next day he comes back, he washes like 4 or 5 cars. Next day he comes back, he wants some sand this floor, sand floor, so he's like, not
I
back
love his
in,
accent.
not back and forth, not back and forth. He's like, sand floor, big circle with right hand, big circle. And so he's doing, and so at the end of this week or so, Daniel goes to Mr. Miyagi and says, look, man, I'm not your slave. I came here to learn karate, right?
Right.
I came here to learn karate, and you got me doing all this stuff. And he's fussing at Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi says, hey, show me paint fence. And so he shows him the paint fence, and he's blocking,
Right.
the hits.
Right.
And I think what he was missing was the process. See, so many times what we want in our marriages, we look, and I hate to just keep making references to social media, or even in the movies, we looking and we're having this dream of what a marriage is supposed to be, this image of what a marriage is supposed to be like, and we're only looking at the peak.
Right.
But what you don't know is, in order to stay on the peak, you have to know the process.
Yeah.
I've heard, even in business, they said, I think it was like Henry Ford went bankrupt, I don't know, 4 times or whatever. But my thing I like about that is because he knew the process, it was easy for him, even though he went bankrupt, even though he took a risk and that risk didn't work out, because he understood the process, he could become a millionaire again.
Right.
And it's the
Right.
same thing, I think,
Right.
in our marriage and our relationships. We get so focused on the goal is that we forget the process.
Right.
Or we don't pay attention to the process. See, the process is the roadmap that'll
Sure.
get you back.
Sure.
I know, hey, okay, you got divorced, but hey, God has a process for you.
Right.
And if you can remember the process, if you can get comfortable in the process, then you can always get yourself back to the peak.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
It's very good analogy.
Hey, I felt a
Good
little
job.
preaching now.
I heard you. I
Hey,
heard
glory.
you. I heard you.
Yeah.
I wanted to read a scripture if I can. It's a little lengthy.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So whenever, though, they turn to face God, as Moses did, God removes the veil, and there they are, face to face. They suddenly recognize that God is a living, personal presence, not a piece of chiseled stone. And when God is personally present, a living spirit that old constricting legislation is recognized as obsolete. We're free of it, all of us, nothing between us and God. Our face is shining with the brightness of his face. And so we are transfigured, much like the Messiah. Our lives gradually becoming brighter and more beautiful as God enters our lives and we become like him. There's a process. That's 2 Corinthians 3:16.
One of my favorites. Yeah.
There's a process to becoming more like him.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that the scripture said, and so we are transfigured much like the Messiah. Mm-hmm. We're changed. Transfiguration means that you look different. Mm-hmm. And so going through the process, there's an inward transformation that takes place. And so while you're going through that, there may be some uncomfortability. There may be, some blood, sweat, and tears. And there may be, God, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to wax on and wax off? Why do I have to paint the fence? Why do I still have to show up to work every day? Why do I still have to, serve in this area? You've shown me this. And God's like, stick through the process.
Yeah. And I like to say this is that, and I like to, God, I think he's saying this to some people that they're asking that question, why do I have to do this? Mm-hmm. Why do I still have to be here?
Right.
And what I feel that God is saying to you is this is for that.
Yes.
This is for that.
Absolutely.
So, why are you having to go through this? Because this is for that.
This is for
that. And this is preparing you for the next step. And
right.
So, like I said, I think we get, because see, the process is never there are not movies written about the process.
No.
You got what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or even so the movie is about the peak.
Right.
And they take you through the process, but it's very abbreviated. Right. So, but I'm telling you, it's the process that produces the result. Mm-hmm. And so we need to learn how in the process to value the process. Mm-hmm. Stay in we want to leave the process so quickly.
Right.
And so what I'm learning to do is how to really just embrace the process.
Embrace the process.
And understand that if I do everything that the process demands, that the peak or the victory is coming.
It is coming.
But a lot of times what we do is we fall short in the process. And I'm gonna tell you this, guys, if you're not worthy of the process, you're not worthy of the peak.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to realize that we can't just live for the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
Because once you get to the top of the mountain, you have to be willing to go back to someone else who's not at the top of the mountain and show them the way to the top of the mountain.
I heard, I was listening to Eric Thomas, and he was saying that the most dangerous thing in life, one of the most dangerous things in life is your last victory. Because he said, you could get so used to being at that place, then you don't want to go on to the next thing.
Right.
So, and that's what we call complacency, or I don't know. But I mean that's the thing in your marriage is maybe the reason why you're in that stalemate, or even in your life, the reason why you're in that stalemate is because you celebrated the victory so much, and you're so enamored by the victory, you're so enamored by the peak, you're not ready, you're not willing to go through the next process to get to the next thing.
Right, and you're going to, this peak will become your normal. And so if you're not building for the next thing, I truly believe, and that was a point I wanted to make earlier, is that sometimes we don't live in our now. A lot of people tend to live in their past, which hinders and holds them back. Then you have those of us who live in the future, all the time, and people, who function in different gifts and things like that, prophecy and all of these different things are often looking for the future also, and that's great, that's wonderful, but we also have to learn in the process to juice everything out of the process. Enjoy it, learn, grow, stretch, and move forward from the process. So, and it's being in every season, actually being present in every season. God, what am I to learn right now. I know what you said, and I know where I'm going, but while I'm waiting to get there, what should I be learning? Who should I be touching? Who should I be speaking into? How should I, minister to my spouse, to my children? What is it that you want to change in me through this process? Because the process will manifest some things in you that God's trying to get rid of. Sometimes we're looking, especially in marriage, we're looking at our spouse or we're looking at our kids, and then God says, wait, you need to work on that anger.
Yeah, we could talk about that because the process does reveal it reveals the blind spots, and a lot of times, like Tanya said, when we're going through things in life, the tendency is to look outward, but that's a dangerous place to be because I'll tell you this: whenever you're experiencing difficulties in life or you're experiencing hardships, or whether that's in your marriage or in your finances or on your job, whatever or wherever that is, the danger with always looking out is now you're giving someone else control over your life.
Right.
Now you're giving someone, even your spouse, your spouse should not have control over your happiness. Right? And even though you and your spouse may, you may not be seeing eye to eye at this time, or maybe you guys are going through something, you can't, or even if things are great,
Right.
just because and I guess that's the beauty of marriage is, because we're not always going to have good days. We're not always going to
Right.
be. So it's like, I can't expect Tanya to be happy every day. And so I can't say, well, if she's not happy, then I'm not happy. Well, my happiness can't be
Right, because
determined.
happiness it's an emotion, it's a temporary feeling, and your emotions are very fickle. They will change on you in a heartbeat. So you really can't allow how you are maneuvering through life or through your day depend on if I'm having a bad day or not. You know what I'm saying? So you do have to be very mindful of that. Yeah.
So let's wrap this up. We're a little ways in here. So let's give them some tips on, for those of you who are out there, whether it's in your marriage. So you're trying to reach this level, or maybe you and your spouse are going through a difficult season in your marriage, and so you have this promise from God, and you know what the past looked like, and you don't want to be there, and you're trying to get here. So what do you do in this time? You're working at this job, and you're trying to get to the next level. God has called you to this vision, to this dream. What do you do? So the first thing that I'm going to say is what I was talking with my classmate about was focus is where your focus is. Okay. You ever notice how when God, I'll use Noah as an example, and I'm kind of talking to myself now because I'm it's good.
It's coming to you while you're talking, huh?
When God told Noah, he said, "No, I want you to build an ark to save the world." Now that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Build an ark to save the world. And so I can imagine Noah's like, okay, first of all, what is an ark? Because
Right.
no one had never,
Right.
what is rain? And it never rained
Right.
before. But here's what I like, and if you study the scripture, you'll see this is how God operates. So he gave Noah this big thing, but then he says, okay, first step is go cut down some trees. Right? And Noah goes, well, he didn't, this is not in scripture, but I can imagine Noah saying, okay, I can do that. And then he says, after you do, so my point is this, just do the thing that God told you to do. Don't focus on everything else.
Right.
Focus on what's the one thing that you can do to go in the direction of the vision. What's the one thing that you can do to make your marriage better? Don't look at it. Don't focus on the. I know people say you got to think big picture, but sometimes big picture is too much. What can you do right now?
Exactly
What's the one thing I can get up and maybe fix my spouse breakfast every morning? That's not a hard thing. You get what I'm saying? So what's that one thing, if it's whatever your vision is, what's the one thing that you can do that, so I'm taking this class for this certification. That's the one thing in this next step.
Right.
And so and again, I have a tendency, I want to look at big picture. I want to plan everything out, but I have to be able to focus on, okay, I'm doing the one thing, the one step that God told me to
Right.
take.
Right.
I'm taking that step.
Right.
And like you said, be present in that.
Yes.
Be present in that, because if
Yes.
not, then I'm missing out on all of
Yes.
the benefits and the things that I'm supposed to be gleaning and learning in this step.
You're missing out. It's almost like juicing, fruits or vegetables for your body. It's like if you push past a lot of that process and you are like, well, I'm just trying to hurry up and it's chunky, so you're throwing away all of the chunky stuff, but you got a little bit of juice out of it, just so you can get done. You've missed out on a lot of the vitamins and the minerals that you need in the juice. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah.
And so I would say, in addition to what you said,
So my first
point,
is do the first step.
yeah, do the first step.
Okay. So number 2, go ahead.
Number 2, while you're doing the first step and you're getting all of what you need out of that step, continue to serve and finish what God had told you to do last. You know that He's taking you somewhere, but complete what He told you to do the last time, the last thing that He told you to do. Finish that part,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
And the last thing I'll say is what I got from, I was going to say that from what I got from my classmate, but I kind of got turned, but focus on preparation and purpose.
Yeah, that's good.
So this is a time of preparation. So make sure you're making the preparation. Make sure you're doing the things that are going to prepare you. So what does that look like as far as being a better husband? Maybe it's getting a mentor that, someone that could speaking to you or someone that you value, how the type of husband they are,
Right.
If it's in your business, taking a business class or what. So focus on the things that are going to prepare you for the future. Yeah.
Yep.
You got another step?
No, I think that's good. I
Okay.
think 3 is good.
So 3 is good. So number
is
1, do the small things. Follow the instructions. Number 2,
Complete whatever God told you all to do last. Make sure you complete that while you're in the process. Don't try to move forward too quickly.
and then number 3 is focus on preparation and purpose. And in that, I'll say this last thing and we'll end it. But focus on the things that are in your control.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about the preparation thing.
Yeah.
That I can control that, because there are going to be some things that are just out of your control. So like
Right.
in your marriage, you cannot control how your spouse responds to you.
Right.
You can't control that, but you can control how you respond to them.
Absolutely
So
right.
that's part of my preparation.
Absolutely right.
I'm gonna practice always responding in love.
Yeah.
Or always responding with a soft tone or
Yes.
whatever that is. So focus on the things that you can control, because I'm gonna say, you can't change your spouse.
Right.
The only person that you can change in your relationship is you. So that's where your focus should be.
Yep. So in the process, guys.
Yeah. So in the process, enjoy the process.
Yes, in the middle.
Don't get discouraged
Of
being
the
in the
process.
middle.
Yeah.
Don't be discouraged, because so many people quit in the middle. Where the middle is designed to prepare you for your future. And I'll say it again: if you're not worthy of the middle, you're not worthy. What I say? Oh, I said if you're not worthy of the process, you're not worthy of the peak.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
That's
2
good
P's.
stuff.
You got to use the words
Yeah.
that start
Yeah,
with
you
the
gotta
same
make it,
letters. Yeah.
It has a little
That's what a good preacher would do.
rhyme to it. Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's all we have for you today. As always, remember, if you have any questions or any topics that you would like us to cover on the podcast, you could email us at info@marriagematterstous.com. That's info@marriagematterstous.com. Or you can send us a text message at 337-415-9535. 337-415-9535. And as always, we want to thank you guys for all of your support, for watching.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook. Like us on Instagram. 0526
Yes.
Marriage Matters 05, at
526.
Marriage Matters 0526, excuse me. Go ahead. What we
I was
said?
gonna say, and make sure you click the little bell on YouTube so you'll know when we post something new. You'll know right away.
Yep. So this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman saying your
Marriage matters.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.